encyclopedia or a dictionary, this is how you use. If it is a magazine or a newspaper, this is the method. We have more slides coming up. I'll be paying more attention to that later. Magazine and newspaper articles. And now you pay attention to the changes. Many of you, the research scholars who actually already have started the research, they may have some idea about MLA format. Many of you are maybe already, those who have already started are quite well versed in MLA 7th edition. You can just take this as screenshot and maybe you can magnify and zoom, use a zoom and zoom in and see that. So major difference between 7th and 8th edition is 8 is described by MLA. Every edition MLA comes up, they say that they are simplifying the format. They are simplifying the method. That is what they normally say. But I don't know whether we, the users, may feel the same every time. I think every time they make changes. Some of them are good. Some of them are maybe not that good. Yeah. Major differences between 8th and 7th and 8th edition is that now one, city of publication is omitted. You don't find in MLA 8th edition the city of publication. Usually we used to have publication like Oxford University Press, London, or maybe any other publication like New Delhi. You have a Kalyani publication, New Delhi, something like that. So now the name of the place is left out. Then toward in description, you find .print or .web, indicating it's a printed book or a website. Now that has been taken off. There is nothing like that. Date accessed on 8th, you can write. Even if you don't write, it's okay. URLs omitted in MLA 7 has come back. If you're making a web source, you have to cite the URL now. It is mandatory now. In a 7th edition, it was optional. Spelling out terms. Contributor roles were abbreviated to 7. Editor, translator were all abbreviated. Now it has come into full length. ED was used for editor. TRANS was used for translator. Now it has come back. You have to use it full, translated, or maybe edited, the full version. Simplified punctuation. That I'll be giving an example. This also we can take a screenshot. See, in the 7th edition, you find in that particular version, the author, name of the book, Columbus. Columbus was the place of publication. Ohio State University Press, 2008, print. These, what I marked in red, is been omitted. When you come to 8th edition, you don't have Columbus, you don't have print. Similarly, book by 2 or more authors, we used to write all the names of all writers. Instead of that, now we use ETAL, etc. I mean, in the sense that it stands for others. First writer you mentioned, and ETAL, meaning everybody, I mean, including there are others as well included in this particular book, preparation of the book. In an article of a book, there is a slight change. ED substituted by edited by, and Grand Rapids, it has gone. Now print, that is also gone. Now we have been limiting our citing resources to minimum. And this is also, you can take down just a screenshot and you can just look at it leisurely because we are running short of time. There is nothing to explain except that what is marked in red is taken off and what is marked in green is being replaced. So you have an anthology, how you cite an anthology, how you cite a ebook, how you cite a ebook, how you cite a journal database, how you cite a web-based content. This is all confusing areas for you. So I've just used a presentation or just pasted a material for you to have a look at it in detail, right? and you have to make use of the right side, because what is done in green is the acceptable version. What is done in red, marked in red, is the earlier version, older version. Now we see examples of how in-text citation is made. Now you find that this particular first quotation that I am referring to, this was seen in royal marriage, beginning with that. In the second line, there was a significant royal interference, sorry. And up to the third line existed. Because it is only two-line quote, you are using inverted comma. Use always double inverted comma. No single inverted comma is now accepted. You have to use double inverted comma wherever you like, even if it is a single word. And see the citation, you Stanford. Stafford is the name of the author. And 230 is the number of the page in which you happen to take this particular quotation. Now, immediately I look at your bibliography or maybe works cited to see whether Stafford is mentioned there. And if I find this particular writer there and the entire book cited, that is, you're going on the right method. Another quotation, same second paragraph, towards the end you have another quotation using the double inverted comma. Hayes is the writer, 41 is the page. When I look at your work cited, Hayes, I find alphabetical order. I just check H and I find Hayes there, page number 41. This is in-text citation. And this is also another list which we may not have time to elaborate. You can just take a screenshot if you're using a mobile, or you can just take a photograph, pic of this particular presentation if you're using a laptop or a desktop. This is how book with no author is cited. Book with one author is cited, two authors, three authors, corporate authors, editors, different sources, same text citation. Last, you come across these citation in two different books. You can use that. That is how it is done. And this is the question. Once I made a presentation and I was asked this particular question: how do we cite social media? This is an example. You can cite a blog post, podcast, online video, tweet, Facebook post, email, digital image. And I honestly say that this is not my making. Illinois State University has done it and posted it in Google. So I could search and find this. And this is how it is done. And you can just see, take a screenshot of this. I think nowadays you may have to use all these different social media citations because we are more and more moving towards a digitalized social media platforms. So you at times would like to have a tweet or maybe a Facebook post to decorate your thesis or a paper. And this is how you can make use of it. This is how you use it in the text. And then this is how you need to cite in the works cited page. And this is a works cited page. I'm giving you 2 or 3 illustration. And with that, we'll be moving towards the end of the presentation. Works cited, your page number, see on top right. The works cited includes double spaced, alphabetical order. Maybe there are only 4 references, a B, P, S, and W comes. Citations are alphabetized. You understand that books are in italics, essays are in inverted commas, details are all given. Web sources, print sources and web sources, there are no differences. You don't find a print or web anywhere. You don't find the name of a place where the book is published. Of course, this is in with respect to the MLA 8th edition. This also you can take a screenshot or a shot on her and just keep it with you. Now, works cited, all the points I've just mentioned, the 12-point type Roman, the name of the person, some of the foreign authors or foreign publishers, they demand your name to be written, the last part of your name. So that is why Rider 4. Rider will be the name of that particular person. Basic format of a web page, how I have used it. Book, article, no extra spacing between entries, all in double space, no extra spacing under title. You need not leave a space after works cited. Works cited immediately after leaving two spaces, meaning there is double spacing, you can start work, starting a new page, etc. This is how it is done, right? In alphabetical order, which is very important. Now, this is another example of how a book is cited, how a article is cited, how a web source is cited. You can all just look at it. If it is a book, it should be in italics. If it is an article, inverted comma. If it is a web source, again inverted comma with a URL. You get a URL then. That also you can take a screenshot. And I can share all these details except my first part of the presentation. I can share it with you all. I'll be sharing this with your authority, who are holding the this series, webinar series. So I'll be just sharing it with them, and in turn you can collect it from them. So that is all. Finally, we're done. It is, I know it is not, unlike making a presentation on literature or maybe speaking on a theoretical presumption, it is not a very interesting area to talk about on writing a research paper, because normally I don't know whether people would be, this is the kind of ideal kind of a topic to be taught at this hour, maybe after afternoon hours. But of course, I am very thankful for the authority, Valavanur College and Ansar Arabic College, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with all you. And I am very happy that for your patiently listen to the presentation, and part of the presentation, especially the last part of the presentation, will be made available to the authorities, which from where you can ask them to get in either in the form of email or in the form of posting it in the group, whatever method they can perhaps undertake. And a big thank you to everybody for patient listening. Thank you. I'm just winding up. Now the floor should be open for discussion, I suppose.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, sir. Actually, I was listening to your class as I was listening to a class on romantic literature, say Wordsworth, when I was in the PG class. You see, it was so interesting that a presentation on research. Actually, I feel jealous of my friend Dr. Prashant for having presented this topic in such a nice manner, that almost I was just watching almost all the these participants in this platform were giving you very interesting, very appreciating comments, and it's really nice of you, sir, for having presented this paper in this platform in such a nice manner. Thank you, sir. And now it is open for the participants for their doubts and comments.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is pertaining to plagiarism.
Yeah.
Is it advisable to do an online plagiarism check on any of the websites before getting into an original plagiarism check, which is done by a university?
Yes. Just one question, or is there any other?
No, only one, sir.
Yeah.
Only
Okay. So different universities, I mean, I think any standard university would make a paid plagiarism software. And for you and I, ordinary paper writers like you and me, it is not easy to afford this kind of a paid version. So what we normally do is that you can just make any free software available on website to check whether your thing is plagiarized, and also make sure that the site is credible. They don't steal your information, right? But normally speaking, if you present it to any university or any publisher, they have their own mechanism of checking plagiarism. But I don't find there is much of a difference. It is, if it is below 10, normally in your free version checking, it may not be much different in a paid version. Okay, so it is advisable. I would say if you can trust the site, it is advisable that you do the plagiarism check. But initially, I think any writer would know that it is plagiarized unless he or she is fooled actually, right? Normally, you have to acknowledge the original source you are. And I personally believe that you can write the article in your own way better than what has been said by some other writer. Okay, but it is advisable if you check it in the online platform, free platform for plagiarism, it's advisable. Make sure your provider is trustworthy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
You're very much audible.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, sir, for this because I'm only a beginner and this was very useful for me. My question is very small. The thing is, I'm about to do a paper presentation for the first time, and I have to write an abstract. So the thing is, as of now, I was working as a guest lecturer last year. As of now, I'm not working. So because of the COVID situation, I'm self-quarantined at home. So when I give my details along with my name and contacts, what should I give as my designation?
You can just check with your older institution whether they have any objection in. I mean, you are actually a person or a staff or a faculty member of that particular institution. No institution, I'm sure, have any person employed or any teacher employed during the COVID time. Even I am now sitting at home.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
But because I'm a permanent faculty, I can use the name. You just check with your, if you don't have any other issues, you just check with the authority, institution authority, whether you can use their name.
So it is necessary to give a designation.
Yeah, it is necessary because you need to identify where you are. Or you can give something like a research scholar. If you're associated as a research scholar in any part of the world, you can say that I'm a research scholar in this particular institution or under this particular guide. That's also credible.
Okay, sir. So another small question is, in one paper or in one abstract, I have to give the keywords. So
minimum 5.
Yeah, minimum 5. So I have to give the names of the methodology that I will be using.
Yeah, that can be given. Well, when you provide keywords, you cannot give a keyword of a writer.
Okay.
Place. Such nouns you cannot provide. But you can definitely say post-colonialism, feminism, all that can be used. But preferably, all these words should be there in your abstract, preferably.
Okay, preferably. Thank you, sir. And how many can I use? Like
4 to 5.
Or 3?
4 to 5 maximum.
No, the number of methodologies I'm saying.
That depends on your paper.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But normally in a paper, we use maximum 1 or maximum 2. Minimum 1 and maximum 2. Because the paper, research paper does not have a scope of writing. So including so many things. But in a research thesis, you can definitely have more methods applied.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon.
Is it Faisal speaking?
Yes. Yeah, this is Faisal.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Gautami is also speaking, right?
Yes, sir. Let
me...
1
second, Gautami. Let me just finish Faisal and come to you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Faisal, please continue.
Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session. So my question is related to in-text citation. The normal way, to put the name of the author and the page number.
Faisal, I think your voice is breaking. Can you just use chat?
So now I'm audible.
Okay, you're audible, but your voice is breaking. I'm not able to find out or make out what exactly your question is. Maybe I'll be, it's okay that I come back to you later after some 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're extremely sorry, Faisal. If you cannot make it out, you send a message so that I can read the message and maybe answer your question. Now, I think who was asking a question?
Gautami, sir.
Yeah, Gautami. Yeah, welcome, Gautami. Your question now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very vivid, beautiful presentation, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I have a question. Is there any template the thesis also
What
with
form?
all the formats for the formats.
Actually, there are templates are for, you mean for writing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, from my experience, only when I went abroad for making presentations, only I am provided with a template. So
Oh,
they are very meticulous about these templates, and they
okay.
demand that my writing should be within that particular template. I don't think any Indian universities or any Indian publisher has a specific template for writing research papers. I've
Oh,
not come across. I mean, I don't say that they don't have. I have
okay.
not come across so far. There are no hard and fast rule about writing a research paper. You
Okay,
can
sir.
take
Okay.
liberties little bit here and there. Of course,
Okay.
by conforming yourself to MLA 8th edition, you can take liberties. Where to place the
Sure.
objective, where to place a literature review. That all you can take liberties with, I think.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. As you said, can we have your mail ID in the chat, sir?
Yeah. So you want my mail ID? So
Yes,
I'll
sir.
just be
Yes,
posting
yes.
that right now.
Okay, sir. Thanks, yeah. Thank you for your kindness, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good
Come on.
evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, when writing a research paper,
Hmm.
is there any limitation that how much data we can add from other sources in our research article with proper citation?
There is no such limits. Giving proper citation, you can add as much as data you want. Depends on what kind of paper you're writing.
In
Suppose
English,
suppose you are writing a paper on the use of language in webinar, for example. So
okay,
you need to quote so many people from different webinars. So your paper will be maximum codes and then a minimum your findings. It can happen like that.
okay, sir.
So
So, sir, 50% will be allowed if
yeah,
we are using.
because the moment you acknowledge a source, it is no more plagiarism.
Okay, sir.
The moment you acknowledge the source, your paper is 90% quotation. You're writing a paper on Shakespeare's quotes. That is your how we can use Shakespeare's quotes effectively in maybe you're making an intertextual study, a study of intertextuality. So you have to use so many quotations from Shakespeare and also those quotations used by other writers. So your paper will be 90% of all the quotes. And I cannot find fault with that because the title or the study demands this kind of an analogy.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you, sir. One
But
more question.
normally speaking, if you're writing a normal kind of a paper and a normal kind of quotation, I think it should be restricted to maybe 25 to 30% normally.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah.
Sir, in English literature, which tense I should use when writing a research article? Present
Which
tense or past tense?
preferably present tense. Preferably.
In
Again,
English
depends on your paper, depends on your methodology. Usually, we appreciate the present tense. Unless
sir, when I'm writing about Hamlet, okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
preferably, I said again, it depends lot about what kind of article you are writing.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I'm Gibran.
Yeah.
From
Mohammed
Aligarh
Gibran.
University.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
It was a very informative presentation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to ask that while writing a literature review, how many works we can include? A minimum set of something.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question in the sense that it all again depend on what kind of. Suppose your paper is on Shakespeare, for example, or Milton. You have plenty of works available, and even if you cite everything, I mean, if you are going to cite everything, that itself will be one thesis. So
Yes.
there, what you do is you pick and choose. You pick and choose those articles which are relevant to your present study. But if
Yes.
you're writing on an area, elaborating on an area where materials are not available, much of the material are not available, then you can quote all the available books for literature review. Okay. So it
Thank you.
again depends on what kind of paper, what kind of project you are writing. If there are so many materials available, pick and choose. If there are very few material available, use all. Did I answer you properly? Yeah, I think he seems to have lost the connection. Yeah, we can go to the next questioner. If
Hello, sir.
yeah, please, Anisa, Fatima.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about
Yeah,
footnotes,
sure.
sir. Now, MLA doesn't really encourage
Yeah,
footnotes, but there are a lot of articles that mention footnotes. So, can we use them, and what would be the format?
Normally, now even in thesis, we get rid of footnotes because now your paper, not the research paper, your thesis, you can even put something. If you wanted to say something extra, you can put a parenthesis and add that. Even within the scope of a research paper, even then there you can add integrate additional information to the text itself. So why do we use the footnote to give anything extra that you have said on that particular page?
Yes.
This extra can be integrated to the text itself. So that is why we are getting rid of footnotes and endnotes. All clarification, if you have any, can be integrated to the text itself. That is the argument. I think we right from MLA 6th edition, we have I think just get rid of this footnote and endnote. 7th edition does not recommend, and even 8th edition does not recommend that. And you don't find many theses now with a footnote and endnote, not even papers. That is a bit obsolete style, I think.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Sir, myself, Dr. Muhammad Rafi.
Yeah.
From the same department and
Vallabhangal College. I understand. You are the co-host as well. Yeah.
My question is, how can describe our essays and thesis title more attractive to avoid traditional type? We need some innovative ideas from your long life experience as an editor in journal.
Actually, now with the turn of the 21st century, you don't make a kind of a obvious kind of a statement. Because in my PG days, when I was doing PG, the number of scholars were very less. Because I did my PG in university, we had a few, maybe around 10 students who were pursuing the research. And when I looked at the titles, I still remember some of the titles were The Poetic Vision of W.B. Yeats, the thematic analysis of maybe Kamala Markandeya's novel, or the thematic analysis of R.K. Narayan's novel. When such a title, now I think it may not sell. Nobody will appreciate that kind of a title now.
Yeah.
Now we are in. So the titles must be very tricky. I would personally prefer a two-part title. The one part, the first part of the title, which is very striking, and second part, a kind of a explanation to the first. Something like you have a two-part question, like maybe suppose you are looking at a partition narrative, for example. You're making a study on partition novels, which describe any kind of partition either between India, Pakistan, or India, Bangladesh, or maybe any kind of partition, England, Ireland, or any partition literature. You can have the first part, maybe mixing memory with desire. I'm quoting Eliot. Mixing memory with desire, first part. And then you say that I study on the partition novels, partition narratives. Okay. So this kind of a two-way presentation is now more common that we come across for research writing and also for paper writing. But I don't say that this is the end of it. No, you can still have older titles, you can still have newer titles, but this kind of a method is more seen nowadays. I can only give an indication. It's not something you should use, but this is something that is seen more of today.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
One Mr. Tausif.
Yeah.
Vice
Any
Yes,
question
sir.
on chat?
Sir, this is Tausif from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University,
Yeah.
Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Sir, I actually wanted to, first I wanted to compliment yourself. It was such a nice and, interesting and very, a very good presentation, I must say, an excellent presentation.
Thank
Sir, I actually wanted to know about how, different chapters should be framed. Can you talk about chapterization?
Yeah, that you mean to say chapterization on a research thesis.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes,
I
sir.
just casually mentioned when my presentation that usually we prefer 5 chapters in a research,
Okay.
excluding introduction and conclusion.
And conclusion. Okay.
Yeah, normally 5
Yes, sir.
chapters including introduction and conclusion. I had only 3 chapters in my research, but the norm, what we find in common. When I say in common, it doesn't mean it is the norm. You can still take liberties with that, but your chapter division must be categorical, in the sense that if you are arguing one particular argument, make one chapter entirely devoted to that argument. Then if you are making 3 arguments in your research thesis, make 3 chapters, each dealing with one argument. If you are making 4 or 5 arguments, make separate chapters for all the different arguments. Maybe some people would analyze 2 different novels by 2 different writers, or maybe 3 different novels by 3 different writers. So ideally, you can have one chapter on each on these different writers and these different books. Then in introduction, actually threading all these together. Then maybe another chapter on the central idea of this particular novel or series of novels, right? So as I said, partition novel, you can, on the first, you can give an introduction by taking into account all the partition novels that are available for you right now. And the second chapter can be a theoretical analysis of partition and trauma. And 3, 4, 5 chapters, if you have, you can deal with a single book that you have taken for your research and a conclusion. This is the kind of a method. Of course, that has to be finalized only in consultation with your guide.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
That is ideal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay, sir. Good.
Yeah. Faisal, you are back.
Yeah, now my voice is okay?
Yeah, it's okay right now.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the second chance to ask.
Yeah.
And sir, I was asking about in-text citation. So related to the MLA or the hello.
Yeah, there are other sounds coming up. Yeah, Faisal, you just continue. I can hear you.
Okay, I mean the normal way of MLA at the time of paraphrasing and quotation in text citation, we have to put the name of the author and the page number. Okay, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, for example, if I would like to paraphrase or to give some information from an experimental study. So in the experimental study, I will go to, for example, the introduction chapter, I get some information. Then I move to the research methodology chapter, I got the sample or like this. Then at the last conclusion chapter, I get the findings. So I would like to make in-text citation for that study. How can I put the page number? It is possible to put the publishing year, or page number it is compulsory?
Page number is compulsory only for your in-text citation. If you are using that particular quotation in your text meaning in your paper, not in bibliography,
okay,
you need to quote the writer and the page number, just to make sure where you have quoted from, and just to mention the source. And the details of this quotation, you are giving it in a works cited. All the details about the book, name of the book, author, etc., you are going to provide in the works cited page. In the text, you just provide the author and the page number. And it's very important that you should have a page number. And if at all you come across a book without a page number, you can also mention that. NP you can write, no page number. N small letter, P small letter.
Okay, sir.
If at all you come across a text without a page number, because at times you read a e-book, it may not have a page number at times, not always. Normally they have. So you can even say no page number NP can be written. So that is
Okay.
elaborated in MLA 8th edition, which is now available.
Okay, but sir, sometimes we went to experimental study. Some, it is conducted by somebody else. Okay.
Still you can write the name of the author and no page number available. You can say NP. No page number available. But you mentioned the author. Author is available right now for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Welcome. Any other question?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Excuse
please.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is related to the previous question itself.
Yeah.
In case if I am using Sigmund Freud, I'm in in-text citation, I will be giving it as Sigmund Freud page number. Okay, for example, if I am using more than one book from Sigmund Freud, how do I need to give that in in-text citation?
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other question? Or should I answer?
All, sir. That's all. That's all.
See, when you are quoting more than one book by the same author, what you normally do is that you suppose you are using Interpretation of Dreams by Freud. So what you do is you write Freud, leave a space, then write one or two words from the text. Interpretation, then page number. If you are using another text, maybe another text of Freud, you just write Freud, leave a space, and write the first word of the second text. And if you're using a third text, write the author, write the one or two words, then write the page number. Because it happens for me also. Because if you're major author, because I'm using my thesis was on Tharoor. So whenever I refer to Tharoor, there are at least 8 to 10 books I had to refer to in my thesis. So every time I write the first word of Tharoor's book. But if there is a book which has the same title, only with a slight difference at the end, so I think I'll have to write the longer title.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Clear.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any other question? Yeah. Ashraf, I think the questions are done. Now we are past for. I initially wondered whether we'll be going up to this.
Can I ask sir one question?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I'm from Bihar and very thankful for the nice presentation you've given me. Sir, I'm a B.Ed student and I want to do PhD after my completion of course. Is my voice audible, sir?
Yeah, sure. You want to do
sir,
PhD
my question might be, yes, sir. Sir, my question might be little away from the context. Sir, I want to, I am little or much interested in our ancient text. Can I relate that very text in English literature, sir?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Only thing you should have an English translation available for this particular classic, which you wanted to pursue.
Can I relate to their significance in present time, sir?
Sure. Why not? You can even do intertextual. This is a new intertextuality. For example, I can just give you an example from my own research area. Shashi Tharoor's book, the first novel that he has published, The Great Indian Novel, that is a rewriting of Mahabharata. So I can always take a intertextual study, a study of intertextuality, taking Mahabharata as a text and also Tharoor's book. But only thing is that Mahabharata should be available in English as a translated work, which is definitely available.
One more question, sir.
Yeah, please.
If I want to do my research work in some oral text, oral stories, sir,
possible.
That is not. Yeah.
Only thing is that you should have an oral story collected either in form of a podcast or you can go to a place where it is still currently running. You can record it and use that podcast as a source of your text. And one of my guides student was with whom I did my PhD, and that particular girl was doing a research on Adivasi. Adivasi is a subaltern community of Kerala in their oral poetry.
Yes.
They never have the language, written language. Their language exists only as a spoken language. So she was doing research in that particular oral poetry. It is possible.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, Dr. Prashant, you have answered several questions of the participants, and it was really interesting to listen to all these things. And away from all my works, I was listening to all the class in a very interesting way. And it's really a pleasure that Dr. Prashant was presenting this topic in a nice manner. And it would have been, I'm sure that it will be so useful for the participants in pursuing the research. Thank you, sir. And let me invite Ms. Shibila Nargis to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Respected Principal, Professor C. Ashraf, guest of the day, Dr. V.G. Prashant, and other dignitaries, a warm good evening to all. We are here in the second day of 1 week e-workshop on research in languages and literature organized by Research Council and IQAC of Ansar Arabic College in association with Kerala State Higher Education Council. It is honor to express my vote of thanks to one and all for being part of this workshop. On behalf of Ansar Arabic College, Valavanur, I would like to thank our esteemed guest of the day, Dr. V.G. Prashant, Associate Professor and Research Guide in RSMSNDP College, Koilandi, for enlightening the topic research writing. Sir, it's a thought-provoking and very informative session. Thank you, sir, for motivating us to begin something and for sharing your valuable information with us. Thank you, sir. I would like to express my gratitude to our principal, Professor C. Ashraf, who has chaired the session. Next, I extend my thanks to IQAC coordinator, Professor Abdurrab M., who delivered the welcome speech. And also, I extend my sincere thanks to Head of Department of Arabic, Professor T. Ibrahim, and the organizing committee, participants of this workshop. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant sir.